So I've seen Renaldo at the airport. I'm just going to ask him what he thinks about his comments and if he's going to take remedial actions to do some equity training, some social justice training. Let's see what he says.
I think that's your biggest fear.
How are you? What you? I'm okay. I'm okay. So I mean, funny bumping into you here, but I thought because you haven't had any interviews or conversations, I want to have one. Just one comment. Do you regret using the N-word?
Got nothing to say to you.
Do you regret using the K-word?
You regret not reporting accurately on the
Let's have a conversation now.
No, nothing.
Do you think that
You stop reporting me.
was justified or unjustified?
Nothing to say to you.
Let's get a bit closer.
Got nothing to say.
So what about
Where's your white jacket?
no, it's a whole
No, where's your put it on? Why aren't you wearing it now?
no for this traveling, but I saw you.
No, but where's your
And I thought
jackets if you want to wear?
no, the youth of the N-word,
We in the jacket to act as a
the youth of the N-word and the K-word, something like that.
No, and that is currently what did IOL
How far is your disciplinary process?
what did IOL come out?
No, I don't know. Anyway,
Don't you know about IOL?
no,
IOL.
but I'm talking to you.
But I'm asking you.
No, I'm not affiliated with IOL.
No, but did you see the outcome by the police ombudsman?
The outcome which said that you didn't use the word.
But do they have to apologize?
You use the word.
What's that? And
And how do you feel? How do you feel about using that word in 2010? It's therapy.
I didn't use the word for you.
In 2010, do you think it's justified?
Back in situation, you see that verbally about this.
Can I ask you a question?
I'm on that here.
Do you think that what Clement Manyakela said is fair to say that you need to do something to show remorse or that you understand why people were angry or hurt?
So I've got absolutely nothing to say because everything is the apology from 2013, 2016 that you.
I'm saying now, you remember Parliament now. So people want to have that. Some people didn't even know you did that. But people want to have it from.
Why did you not?
Well, I bumped into you now. No, so I'm reaching out to you in circle.
It's all good. Listen, I do not appreciate being reported while I'm here.
But what I
Well, thank you, ma'am. Can you please?
what's
Yeah. See, so once again,
Let's move a bit
Mighty
closer, move a
Jamie
bit
is
closer.
doing exactly
Move a
what
bit
he
closer.
does.
So can you tell us right now?
Can you please?
Are you going to
stop
take some
reporting me?
social justice lessons?
Can you
or
please-
try to understand why people are so offended by you using the N-word and the K-word?
I'm asking you to please stop reporting me.
Face me. So I tried to ask Renaldo in person if he regrets using the words that he used, if he's going to take any social justice training, racial sensitivity training, just to try to understand why people were offended by his use of the N-word and the K-word and some of the other things that he said, because it wasn't just that. You make a decision on whether you think he responded fairly or not. Any last comment?
Thank you, Jamie. I'll see you in court.
For what?
Yeah.
See you there. Thanks so much, brother.
Special place and help you, but
So here are some reflections that I have after the moment that I just had with Renaldo Gouws, who is the gentleman who built a career in the right-wing media community of saying offensive things, saying racist things, and who was called out for using the N-word, the K-word, and a variety of other things that he did. He said homophobic things as well. He was called out for that, and that all happened around about the time when he became a member of parliament for the Democratic Alliance. So I saw him at the airport, and I was like, let me actually go speak to this guy. I actually asked a gentleman to hold the phone for me. I said, how radical are you? And the guy was like, what do you mean? I think he thought I wanted $1. You know that guy on TikTok, you got $1? You got $1? So I think he thought I was going to do like ask him for $1 or tell him about my child or something who's sick in the hospital and I need 100 rands or 50 rands or whatever. So I explained what I wanted to do. And the first guy was like, nah, I don't want to do it. But the second guy, he said, nah, sure, give me the phone. Let's go do this thing. Let's go be radical. And I appreciate him for doing that. So the reason why in the moment I thought to myself, let me speak to this guy and ask him some questions. Number one is because he has not done any media interviews. You know, there are so many platforms where he could do a media interview. For instance, he could do a media interview with Tembegile Mrototo. He could do a media interview with Clement Manyatela. He could do a media interview with Sakina Kamwendo. He could do a media interview now. Tulasizo Simelane is back. Thabo Shole Mashao is working on radio. Aldrin Sampier, Kathy Mushlashana. There are so many people, Faith Mangope, who could have a conversation with him about why his comments were received in the way that they were, number one. Number two, why he told a lie that the comments that then emerged later were artificial intelligence manipulations. I think that's important. But also, I think there's something that he does need to have a conversation with everyone about, because he's a member of parliament. He's a public representative, meaning he represents everyone. He doesn't just represent the right wing. He also represents the poor children in the townships of Soweto, in the townships of Umlazi, and in the rural parts of Mpangeni. He represents the hopes and aspirations of someone in Toyando, in as much as he represents the hopes and aspirations of someone who's living in Sea Point or Hout Bay, or in the depths of Stellenbosch. I don't know neighborhoods in Stellenbosch, but I assume there are people there who view him as being upholding their hopes and aspirations. So I think he should have done an interview, is the first point that I'm making. The second point that I want to make is I think that the Democratic Alliance has not done a genuine disciplinary process, because I don't think that they spoke to witnesses. I don't think that they asked anybody to submit complaints or statements about why they would want to lodge this complaint. They didn't share the nature of the charges against him. And they even made this announcement about the disciplinary action because they felt that this thing was going to, mess up their coalition negotiation moment. And because they didn't want that as a distraction, they then said, okay, just say we are disciplining this guy. But then he has been working, he's been in parliament, etc., etc. And I feel that questions still need to be asked, even about that disciplinary process. You know what? Someone can be guilty or innocent, etc. But what makes the disciplinary process or any process genuine is actually letting the public know, keeping the public informed, and, being transparent about everything. When you go to courts and when you go to trial, criminal trial, the reason why the trials are open and anyone can go to a court is because the law must be done and also seen to be done as a legal principle that exists out there. So I'm not sure that the DA process as it stands is one that is a bona fide process. That's number two. Number three, why I thought, let me speak to him, is because sometimes we submit to racism, discrimination, all manner of abuse. We submit to being demeaned as Black people, undermined, undercut as Black people by failing to push back in the way that, the mothers did in the 60s. You know that song, "Oh mama bethu baboshiwe, izingane sele zodwa. Oh mama bethu baboshiwe, bazobuya sibalindile noma bengenama." Oh mama left their children to fight for a more important ideal. They knew the risk going in. They knew that they could get arrested going in. But they stood up, and we watch these movies, these historical movies, we watch them and we read the books, and we often think, yeah, if I had been there, I would have done it. I would have done something. And of course, we cannot be there. We are here. We are in this particular moment. We're not in 76. We're not at Sharpeville. We're not in various moments of history that were significant. But this is a moment in history in and of itself. This moment, this day that you are living through is a day in history. History is unfolding all around the world. China is meeting African leaders, and they are there smiling and clapping hands for the Chinese government that is giving us more debt, giving us more products, and we don't get as much return on the investment of that solidarity. History is happening today. There's history happening in Gaza, in Israel. There's history happening in America. There's history happening in the DRC. History continues to happen. So when you bump into a moment or an opportunity, there's always that question, so what are you going to do about it? Sankara's watching. What are you going to do about it? Lumumba's watching. What are you going to do about it? Biko's watching. What are you going to do about it? Or are you going to waste the opportunities where you have a moment to speak up and articulate the pain of everyone who doesn't have that moment? Are you going to say something, or are you going to say nothing? So anyway, I chose to ask him those questions. I think I was respectful. You heard his answers. I don't know what you think. I want to close off by saying this one thing. I believe everyone deserves a second chance, up to a 10th chance, maybe even a 77th chance. Why do I believe that? Because number one, we all make mistakes. Number one, we all grow. We all learn, unlearn, relearn. So I believe that people can make mistakes, bad mistakes, and still become better people. Malcolm X, when he started his career, was one of the worst people ever. Not his career, I'm just saying career, but I meant his criminal career. He was a criminal hoodlum in America, but he became one of the most significant thought leaders in Black America. Malcolm Little was not a nice guy. Malcolm X was a better guy. But when he finally reached the end of his life, his enlightenment, his humanity, he started off speaking about race in ways that were very, very, very jarring, provocative. But towards the end, he actually accepted all races and called for peace, tolerance, acceptance. So I believe that people should get multiple chances. I do. And that even applies to people who hate me, hate the way that I look, think that because I look the way that I look, I cannot be a liberal, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. So at a personal level, just as a human, I accept that people make mistakes and people can change. At an even higher level than just my personal level, because whatever, that's my worldview. I'm a Christian, and my teacher taught me that you need to forgive 77 times 7 times. I think that's what he said. You've got to forgive, and you got to keep forgiving. That's what my teacher said. And I believe in that, and I accept that. So part of forgiveness, of the process of forgiveness, sorry, I'm just gathering my thoughts, is the person has to apologize. They have to make peace with the people that they've offended. And I think that's what Clement Manyatela was asking when he said that, has he gone to some sensitivity training? Has he tried to understand the issues that made people feel the way that they feel? As a leader, somebody who now occupies that position, representing the aspirations of the child in Umlazi as much as he represents the aspirations of the child in Stellenbosch. I think there needs to be some kind of a process. And when you speak to people, you're trying to actually get an assessment of state of mind, state of readiness. Is he going to be open to having these conversations? So maybe he will be in future. Maybe he will be. What do you think? Let's have a conversation.